There's a strange kind of tiredness that no amount of sleep can fix. You wake up feeling like you've been running. Not in your body, but in your mind. Running to prove something. Running to stay worthy. Running to keep up with a world that never stops. You pour another cup of coffee, make another list, and promise yourself that once you get through this week, you'll finally rest. But somehow, that week becomes a month, the month becomes a year, and rest remains a distant promise you never quite arrive at. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. We live in a culture that's deeply allergic to stillness, where busyness has become a badge of honor, and exhaustion is worn like a medal of worth. Somewhere along the way, we were taught that rest has to be earned, that we must justify it with productivity, that we need to prove our exhaustion before we're allowed to stop. But what if that story, the one that says you must earn rest, is the very thing making you so tired in the first place? That's what this episode is about. The lie that made us tired. The cultural conditioning that turned rest into guilt, and how we can begin to unlearn it. The conditioning of constant doing. When you were a child, rest came naturally. You didn't earn naps. You didn't justify play. You laid down when you were tired, and you stopped when something didn't feel fun anymore. You lived in rhythm with your own energy. Instinctively, freely, unapologetically. But somewhere between growing up and growing older, you learned that rest was a luxury. You learned that doing nothing was lazy. You learned that slowing down was dangerous because someone might get ahead while you paused. From early school days, you were rewarded for performance. Gold stars for effort. Praise for persistence. Teachers, parents, mentors, all meant well, but the message was clear. Your value lives in your output. As adults, we just swapped the gold stars for salaries, followers, and promotions. Now, even self-care gets turned into a checklist. Even relaxation becomes performance. You go on vacation and feel guilty for doing nothing. You sit on the couch and reach for your phone to prove you're still being productive. You meditate, but you time it. You rest, but you try to earn it first. The irony is painful. The more we strive to be worthy of rest, the further rest moves away. The cultural myth of earning it. Our culture doesn't just glorify productivity, it worships it. It's the unspoken religion of modern life. Busy has become shorthand for important. I'm tired has become a strange kind of status symbol. And if you dare to pause, someone will inevitably ask, what are you doing with your life? But rest doesn't have to do anything. It doesn't have to make you better, stronger, thinner, more creative, or more successful. Rest is not a productivity tool. It's a human right. Still, we've absorbed the myth that rest must be justified, that it has to serve a function. We say things like, I'll rest when I've finished this project. Or, I'll relax once everything is under control. But life never gives you that moment of perfect completion. There's always another email, another expectation, another unfinished thing pulling at you. If you only rest when the world gives you permission, you'll be waiting forever. The truth is, rest was never something to earn. It was something to return to. The biology of busyness. Let's talk for a moment about what constant doing does to your body. When you're always rushing, your nervous system stays in a state of sympathetic activation. Fight, flight, or freeze. Adrenaline and cortisol flood your body, keeping you alert, efficient, and on guard. It's useful in short bursts, but when it becomes a lifestyle, it erodes your sense of safety. You start mistaking stress for purpose, anxiety for motivation, overthinking for preparation. You're not resting because, deep down, your body doesn't believe it's safe to rest. It still thinks there's a threat, the threat of falling behind, of disappointing someone, of not being enough. This is why so many people say, I tried to rest, but I just couldn't relax. It's not because you're broken. It's because your body has forgotten how to feel safe in stillness. Rest isn't just physical. It's nervous system work. It's teaching your body that it's okay to stop, that you're safe even when you're not producing. The emotional cost of proving. Let's get honest. So much of our exhaustion isn't about how much we do. It's about why we do it. You can work long hours and still feel peaceful if it's aligned with your purpose. But you can also do very little and still feel drained if every action is fueled by fear. Fear of not being enough. Fear of being forgotten. Fear of being judged as lazy, unambitious, or selfish. That's what guilt really is. The internalized voice of a culture that doesn't rest. It whispers, "You haven't earned this yet." It tells you that your worth is conditional on your output. But guilt isn't the voice of truth. It's the voice of conditioning. And every time you rest anyway, even when guilt whispers, you're rewriting that conditioning. You're telling your body and your mind a new story. I am safe even when I'm still. I am worthy even when I pause. The day I realized my rest was sacred. I want to share a story. A few years ago, I hit a wall. The kind of burnout that no weekend off could fix. I was waking up tired, falling asleep anxious, and measuring my worth in crossed-out tasks. One night, I came home and sat in the dark. No music, no screens, no to-do list. I didn't plan it. I just couldn't keep performing. At first it felt awful. My mind screamed, "You should be doing something." My body twitched like it had forgotten how to be still. But then something else happened. Underneath the noise, there was a quiet voice. It said, "You are allowed to stop." It didn't sound dramatic. It sounded like truth. That night, I didn't check another email. I didn't plan tomorrow. I didn't fix anything. I simply rested, without earning it. And for the first time in years, I woke up with a strange, unfamiliar feeling. Peace. Not the peace of a completed checklist, but the peace of remembering I'm not a machine. That's when I realized something life-changing. Rest isn't the opposite of productivity. It's the foundation of it. But more than that, it's the foundation of sanity, of creativity, of self-worth. The truth about worthiness and rest. Here's something most of us were never told. You don't become more worthy by doing more. Your worth doesn't rise and fall with your productivity levels. You are worthy when you're resting. You are worthy when you're sick. You are worthy when you're grieving, uncertain, or lost. Worth isn't a prize. It's a constant. When you begin to rest without earning it, you're not being selfish, you're being honest. You're acknowledging your humanity. You're saying, I am not infinite. I am not a machine. I am allowed to stop. And the world doesn't crumble when you do. Even if your mind tries to convince you it will. The practice of permission. Here's a truth I want you to sit with. Rest is a form of rebellion. Every time you close your eyes in the middle of a noisy world, every time you choose presence over performance, every time you rest before you're burned out, you're quietly rewriting generations of conditioning. Rest becomes your protest. Your way of saying, I will not measure my worth in exhaustion anymore. And the most powerful thing is, you don't need to wait for your schedule to open up. You can begin right now, in the middle of the noise, with small, sacred pauses. Here are 3 simple invitations. The 1-minute pause. Once a day, stop for 60 seconds. No phone. No scrolling. No fixing. Just breathe and remind yourself, I'm safe to stop. The permission slip. Write on a small piece of paper. I give myself permission to rest before I'm exhausted. Keep it somewhere you'll see it often. The soft ending. Each night, resist the urge to finish the day perfectly. Leave something undone on purpose. Let that unfinished task remind you that your value doesn't depend on completion. These small moments matter because they teach your nervous system something profound. That peace doesn't arrive after you've earned it. It arrives when you allow it. The inner voice that resists rest. Now, let's talk about the resistance that shows up when you try to rest. You might notice an anxious voice saying things like, You're wasting time. You don't deserve this yet. Other people have it worse. That voice isn't the enemy. It's an old protector. It learned that staying busy kept you safe from judgment, rejection, or shame. But it's using outdated logic. You don't need to silence that voice. You just need to talk back to it with compassion. You can say, Thank you for trying to protect me. But I'm safe now. I'm allowed to rest. Every time you do this, you're building a new association in your brain. One that links stillness with safety instead of shame. And that's how healing begins. Not through perfection, but through permission. If you can, close your eyes. Or simply soften your gaze wherever you are. Take a slow breath in through your nose. And exhale gently through your mouth. Let your shoulders drop. Feel the chair or bed or floor holding you up. You don't have to hold yourself right now. The ground is holding you. Now, ask yourself quietly. What am I trying to earn that I already deserve? Maybe it's rest. Maybe it's peace. Maybe it's love. Whatever your answer is, let it rise without judgment. Then whisper to yourself, I don't have to earn what was always mine. Let that sentence sink in. This is the beginning of rest. Not the kind that happens when you collapse, but the kind that begins the moment you decide to stop running. As we close this first part of the series, I want you to remember something simple, but revolutionary. You were never meant to earn your worth. And you were never meant to earn your rest. The world will keep rewarding your exhaustion. It will keep telling you to push a little harder, give a little more, run a little faster. But you don't have to play that game anymore. You can choose another rhythm. You can choose to slow down. You can choose to rest. Not because you finished everything, but because you are human. And that's enough reason. So tonight, or maybe right after you finish listening, close your eyes for a few moments. Let the world keep spinning without you for a bit. You'll find that the world doesn't fall apart when you stop, but you start to come back together. You don't need to earn rest. You only need to remember you deserve it. In the next episode, we'll go deeper into what happens inside us when we actually try to rest, why guilt rises up, and how to gently unlearn it. But for now, take a breath. Take a pause. Take your place in this quiet truth. You are allowed to rest. Have you ever tried to rest, only to feel a weight settle on your chest? A voice whispers, you shouldn't be doing nothing. Or, you haven't earned this. Or, other people are working harder than you. That voice is guilt. And it's been your constant companion whenever you try to pause. Guilt is sneaky. It's subtle. It's not a shout. It's a quiet nudge that tells you, you're failing if you're not producing. It's no wonder we struggle to rest. Because for most of us, guilt shows up the moment we slow down. It reminds us of every expectation we've ever internalized, from parents, teachers, peers, and society. It keeps us moving, keeps us striving, keeps us proving our worth. But guilt isn't truth. It's a conditioned response, an echo from the past, an outdated signal that no longer serves you. And yet it feels real. It feels heavy. It feels like a barometer of your worth. This episode is about understanding guilt, meeting it with compassion, and reclaiming rest without shame. What guilt is really trying to tell us. Guilt is a messenger. Its message is often mistaken as judgment, but underneath, it's fear. Fear that if you rest you will fall behind. Fear that if you pause you will disappoint. Fear that if you stop, you are unworthy. When you rest, guilt shows up to protect you, in its own misguided way. It learned early that staying busy kept you safe from judgment, shame, or rejection. It whispers, you can't stop yet. You're not safe yet. You're not enough yet. But here's the truth. Guilt is outdated. The world you live in now is not the one your inner critic remembers. You are safe now. You are allowed to stop now. And your worth is constant, not conditional on your output. The inner critic behind guilt. Most guilt isn't just guilt, it's your inner critic in disguise. That voice that says, you should be doing more. You'll never catch up. You're wasting time. The inner critic is one of the most faithful protectors you'll ever meet. It wants to keep you small, cautious, and safe. Its logic is simple. If you're resting, you might be vulnerable. If you're still, you might be exposed. But here's the paradox. The inner critic is trying to protect you from the wrong threat. The danger it imagines isn't real. The threat it fears isn't what actually matters. And yet, because it's loud, consistent, and convincing, it has shaped the way you move through the world. You check tasks obsessively. You stay late at work. You scroll endlessly. You never feel fully at ease. And every time you rest, it protests, because it doesn't trust that stillness is safe. Where guilt comes from. Guilt doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's built, layer by layer, from our earliest experiences. Childhood lessons. When you were small, you learned that good behavior equals love. Praise came when you did something right, and disapproval followed when you didn't. That internalized equation, being worthy equals performing well, became a default setting in your mind. Societal pressure. From school onward, culture rewarded achievement and busyness. Busy equals productive equals successful became the invisible mantra. Even today, society applauds exhaustion and sees rest as a weakness. Family and community messaging. Maybe you grew up hearing, "Don't waste time, keep going," or "Others are working harder." Or perhaps the guilt was subtler. A sigh, a look, or a judgmental comment when you slowed down. All of these messages merged into one persistent inner voice. You must earn the right to rest. And if you listen carefully, guilt whispers, "You are not enough if you stop." The emotional experience of guilt. Guilt doesn't just sit in your head. It lands in your body. A tightness in your chest. A restless energy in your stomach. A racing mind that lists everything unfinished. When guilt rises, it can feel impossible to slow down. Your body is telling you a story you no longer need to believe. Rest is unsafe. Rest is wrong. Rest is unearned. But here's the paradox. Resisting rest actually fuels exhaustion. The harder you try to prove your worth, the more tired you become. Your mind is like a hamster on a wheel, spinning faster, thinking it's moving forward, but going nowhere. And the only way off that wheel is to sit down and feel the resistance. Talking back to guilt. One of the most powerful tools for resting without shame is conversation. Because guilt is not truth. It's a voice. And voices can be heard, responded to, and transformed. Here's how to begin. Notice it. When you feel guilt, pause. Name it. Ah, that's my guilt speaking. Meet it with curiosity. What are you afraid will happen if I rest? Listen to the answer without judgment. Respond with compassion. Speak to it gently. Thank you for trying to protect me. But I am safe. I am enough. I am allowed to rest. This simple dialogue rewires your nervous system. It teaches your inner critic and guilt that stillness is not dangerous. That rest is not failure. That peace is not punishment. Visualization. Inviting safety back. If you can, close your eyes for a moment. Imagine your guilt as a small, scared child sitting beside you. They clutch a pillow, trembling, whispering, "If we stop, we'll fall behind." Now, kneel beside them. Place a hand on their shoulder. Say softly, "You are safe. We are safe. It's okay to rest. I will protect you now." Notice how the body responds. The shoulders drop, the chest softens, the mind quiets. This is not fantasy. This is your nervous system learning a new truth. Rest is safe. You are safe. You are worthy. Small daily practices. To begin unlearning guilt, start small. Even tiny pauses matter. Micro rests. Close your eyes for 1 minute between tasks. Gentle permission. Write a note. I give myself permission to rest without earning it. Mindful breathing. 5 slow breaths whenever guilt arises. Check your language. Replace "I can't rest yet" with "I am allowed to rest now." Over time, these small steps expand into deeper rest. The kind that nourishes your body, mind, and soul. The paradox of rest. Here's the irony. The more you rest without guilt, the more productive, creative, and alive you become. Because rest is not the opposite of doing. It's the foundation of doing. A rested mind thinks clearly. A rested body moves freely. A rested heart loves fully. When you stop resisting, life starts to flow. Not because you're working harder, but because you're aligned with yourself. And the guilt that once ruled your pauses? It softens. It shrinks. It no longer controls your rhythm. Today, let this settle in. Guilt is not truth. It's an echo of conditioning, fear, and old beliefs. You do not have to earn your right to rest. You do not have to justify your pause. You do not have to prove your worth to anyone, including yourself. Every time you rest without guilt, you reclaim a part of yourself that has been waiting. Your energy, your clarity, your creativity, your joy. Rest becomes an act of self-trust, a declaration that you are already enough. And the more you practice, the easier it gets to hear the quiet voice beneath guilt. I am safe. I am worthy. I am allowed to pause. Before we close this episode, I invite you to try this. Sit quietly for a moment. Ask yourself, what story have I been telling myself about rest? What do I believe I must earn before I allow myself peace? Notice the answer. Don't judge it. Then say aloud or in your mind, I release this story. I give myself permission to rest without earning it. Repeat it whenever guilt arises. Over time, your mind, body, and soul will remember the truth. Rest is your birthright. In the final episode, we'll explore the art of resting fully. How to weave rest into your life, relationships, work, and body, and finally live without waiting to be allowed to breathe. We've talked about the lie that made us tired. We've explored the guilt that rises when we try to stop. And now, we arrive at the final part of this journey. The art of resting fully, without guilt, without hesitation, without justification. Because rest is not a pause between doing. It is the soil from which your life grows. And learning to rest fully is not indulgence. It is reclamation. Redefining what rest actually means. Most people think of rest as sleep, a weekend off, or a vacation. But rest is much broader than that. Rest is allowing your body to recover from strain, giving your mind space to breathe, letting your heart soften and your emotions flow, choosing presence over performance, saying no when it serves your energy. Rest is not a reward. It's a necessity. It's the foundation of clarity, creativity, resilience, and joy. If you only rest when you've completed all your tasks, you're living in a constant state of postponement. Your energy, your focus, and your well-being all suffer. And your mind, the very thing you rely on to succeed, becomes cluttered, exhausted, and anxious. True rest is not waiting for the perfect moment. It is creating a safe moment, wherever you are. Rest as resistance. Here's the truth. Choosing to rest when the world expects you to hustle is an act of resistance. It's saying, I will not measure my worth in exhaustion. I will not sacrifice my body for endless approval. I will honor my needs even if no one else validates them. This kind of rest is revolutionary because it challenges a culture built on constant striving. It's not rebellion for the sake of defiance. It's rebellion for the sake of life itself. When you rest in this way, you're reminding yourself, and the world, that humans are not machines. That you are allowed to exist fully, even in stillness. Daily practices for resting fully. The art of resting without guilt is about small intentional acts, repeated over time. Here are practical ways to integrate rest into your life. 1. The micro-moment pause. Set reminders during your day to pause for even 60 seconds. Close your eyes, place your hand on your chest, and breathe. Notice your body. Notice your thoughts. Let the world spin without you for a moment. 2. Boundaries as rest. Saying no is not selfish. It's a form of rest. Protect your energy by declining tasks, requests, or conversations that drain you unnecessarily. Every time you set a boundary, you reinforce that your well-being matters. 3. Reclaim play. Play is a form of rest the mind often overlooks. Do something you love without expecting results. Dance in your living room. Draw. Write nonsense. Build Lego towers. Play reminds your nervous system how to experience joy without performance. 4. Mindful movement. Rest doesn't always mean lying down. Yoga, stretching, walking in nature, all can be restorative when done with attention. Movement with awareness helps your body release tension and reconnect with its natural rhythms. 5. Digital detox. Step away from screens, notifications, and social media. Even 5 minutes of intentional digital rest can reset your nervous system. You'll notice the voice of guilt softening as you step out of the world's performance metrics. Rest in relationships. Resting without guilt is not just physical. It's relational. You don't need to perform your worth to be loved. You don't need to overgive, overlisten, or overserve to be accepted. Resting relationally means being honest about your needs, saying no without fear of losing connection, spending time alone without shame, trusting that love isn't conditional on your constant doing. When you practice this, your relationships shift. You notice who respects your boundaries and who drains your energy. You begin to cultivate connections rooted in mutual respect and safety, not obligation and performance. Rest in ambition and work. You can still pursue goals and achieve success without sacrificing rest. Plan work in cycles that include breaks. Give yourself permission to leave tasks unfinished if it means preserving energy. Separate your worth from your output. Your value is inherent, not measured by results. Recognize that overworking is not heroism. It's exhaustion in disguise. When you honor rest, you become more productive, creative, and clear. Rest is the foundation that allows your ambition to be sustainable. Rest in your body. Many of us carry guilt in our bodies. We push through fatigue, ignore signals of hunger, tight muscles, headaches, or restlessness. Resting without guilt is listening to your body's cues, slowing down when energy dips, allowing sleep without self-reproach, accepting limits without judgment. When you rest in your body, you restore your nervous system, reduce stress, and reclaim your vitality. Your body learns that it's safe. Your mind learns that it's safe. Your heart learns that it's safe. Integrating rest as a daily ritual. Rest is not a one-time event. It's a practice. Here's how to weave it into your everyday life. Morning pause. Start the day with 5 mindful breaths. Don't check your phone. Just arrive in your body. Midday reset. Take a short walk or a quiet break, even if just for 2 minutes. Evening reflection. Before bed, write down one thing you accomplished without judgment, then close the day with gratitude. Weekly no practice. Say no to one obligation that doesn't serve your energy. Monthly retreat. Schedule intentional downtime, nature walks, spa days, or creative solitude, without the need to justify it. These small practices create a rhythm that your body, mind, and soul recognize as safe. Over time, the nervous system relearns. Rest is natural, rest is sacred, rest is allowed. The emotional freedom of rest. When you practice resting fully, without guilt, something profound happens. Anxiety softens. Creativity returns. Patience deepens. Joy emerges in small moments. Your mind stops equating stillness with failure. Your heart stops believing that worth depends on doing. Your body stops punishing itself for pauses. And slowly, you realize, you've been resting all along. You just forgot how. The freedom that comes from resting without guilt is not just physical. It's emotional. It's spiritual. It's a reclamation of your life, your time, and your energy. Before we close this series, let's pause together. Take a slow breath in and out. Feel your body. Feel your presence. Notice any tension or guilt lingering. Whisper to it, I am allowed to rest. I am worthy. I am enough. Repeat it if you need to. Let it sink into your nervous system, your mind, your heart. Rest is not a reward. Rest is not laziness. Rest is a human right, a sacred rhythm, a practice of freedom. As you step into your life after this series, remember, every moment of stillness, every pause, every choice to honor yourself, is a radical act of self-trust. You are reclaiming your time. You are reclaiming your energy. You are reclaiming your worth. And the truth is simple. You don't need to earn it. You only need to allow it. Thank you for joining me on this journey of learning to rest without guilt. Remember, rest is not a reward. Rest is not laziness. Rest is a human right. Every pause, every breath, every moment of stillness is an act of self-trust. You are allowed to stop. You are allowed to breathe. You are allowed to live fully, without chasing, without proving, without earning your peace. If this episode resonated with you, consider subscribing for more reflections on self-worth, peace, and emotional freedom. Sharing this episode with someone who needs permission to rest. Taking a small pause right now and feeling the truth of your enoughness. Because the rest you've been chasing has been waiting for you all along. Continue your journey in permission to be enough. The book that inspired this episode. Thank you for listening to Book with Joys. I'll see you in the next episode.